Can you believe that someone who lived in Tamil Nadu in the 1850s without even going to school gave explanations for Hollywood movies like Inception, Doctor Strange, Interstellar, and Lucy? It's not just an explanation. He's the one who actually provided the concepts for making those movies. What, you can't believe it? Watch the full video. For the first time, you're gonna hear many things that you've never heard in your life. Come along with me on this multi-dimensional trip and enjoy. Before we access the multi-dimensional world, first, who is he? Someone who lived in the 1850s to the extent of giving explanations for sci-fi movies in Hollywood. Why was he so talented he could even give them scripts? He is the one and only great scientist Chidambaram Ramalingam. People call him Vallalar. It's not just because he gave food to everyone. They didn't call him Vallalar just for that. It's because he gave away all the wisdom he knew for free, saying, "Here, take it." That's why they call him Vallalar. Did he give knowledge that no other scientist in the world has given? Yes. In physics, even if you put 10 million Einsteins together, they wouldn't equal his knowledge, because quantum science has only recently been introduced to the world. But in his time, he gave science even more advanced than quantum science. In biology, we still talk about Watson and Crick discovering DNA as a big deal, but he discovered how to transform that very DNA and even demonstrated it in his own body. In chemistry, Dmitry Mendeleev is praised for discovering the periodic table. Marie Curie won the Nobel Prize for discovering polonium and radium. Scientists like Linus Pauling have only recently discovered quantum chemistry. But living in that period, he converted every metal into gold and excelled in alchemy, even back then. As for linguistic knowledge, he knew so many languages. And yet, he never went to any school. Alright, if we look at mathematics, nowadays they mention in their theories that there are 11 dimensions. Even that can only be proven theoretically so far. Living in the 1850s, he mentioned up to 10 dimensions in his songs. All of today's modern science has come from the West. Modern science is what the researchers there have said. You might feel that way. Not only that, it feels like a boomer saying, "Don't just talk nonsense. Our ancestors weren't fools. They knew everything." Until 1900, scientists believed there was only one universe. It was only in the 1920s that, for the first time, Edwin Hubble proved that Andromeda was a separate galaxy. Only after that did they start believing the theory that there could be billions of galaxies. That's when such a theory began to emerge. The universe above it, and the matter within them, shown by the supreme gem. This is a line from Vallalar's Arupparanjo Thiagaval. By saying the universe and the universe above it, he spoke about the multiverse concept back then, suggesting universes exist upon universes. This also includes parallel realities. I'll talk about that at the end of this video. Furthermore, in another verse, he says, the microcosm, a microcosm within it, and the matter within them, shown by the supreme gem. That is, he's talking about a microcosm within a microcosm. If we relate this to modern science, he's mentioned the physical air, cells, and organs. Then he mentions the microbiome, and even the quantum level. What's the connection to dimensions? Well, there is one. In his 6th Thiruvarutpa, under the title Pathi Valakam, Vallalar gave a long set of verses. In it, he describes the colorful Buddha Veli, Praguti Veli, and how all spaces became the radiant Vyanga Veli, the meditative Maumana Veli, and above that, the Para Veli, the dual Ilibaya Veli, the Sarpara Veli, the Thathpra Veli, and the Great Peru Veli. He mentions the Aralimba Veli and the firm, unique, natural truth of the space in Thiruchitrambalam, where he saw the one divine. When I first heard these verses, I was truly shocked, because they contain references to so many different spaces or dimensions. Vallalar has listed many spaces here, like Buddha Veli, Praguti Veli, Maumana Veli, Vyanga Veli, Para Veli, Ilibaya Veli, Sarpara Veli, Thathpra Veli, Peru Veli, and Thiruchitrambalam. I'll explain how these are dimensions. In modern science, dimensions are measured by length, breadth, and height. These are used to define dimensions. Length alone is 1 dimension. Breadth makes it 2 dimensions. Height makes it 3 dimensions. The 4th dimension only emerged after Einstein. He added time to length, breadth, and height to calculate the 4th dimension. Later, with quantum science, modern string theory, and M-theory, they theoretically explain that there could be around 11 dimensions. I'll share an important timeline now, so don't skip. It's very important for this video. Between 1920 and 1930, scientists like Schrödinger and Heisenberg first introduced quantum mechanics. That's when they introduced the concept of the observer effect. That is, when we actually look at something, the object changes based on how our mind perceives it. This means that the mind influences matter. In 1931, when Schrödinger wrote What is Life?, he stated that consciousness is not a chemical. He was the first to propose this idea. Between 1960 and 1980, scientists like Eugene argued that consciousness causes the wave function to collapse. In other words, the reason an object appears as it does when you look at it is because you are observing it at that moment. But the point is, that object could exist in any state. It was in the 1990s that scientists Penrose and Hameroff proposed that something happening at the quantum level creates awareness within us. Now, after the year 2000, with the growth of quantum biology, they've reached the point of saying our consciousness, our awareness, is due to interactions at the quantum level, which is why we have that feeling of being aware. I'm saying all this because concepts like consciousness, quantum biology, and quantum physics, quantum mechanics itself, only became popular or even known to the world after 1900. But as early as the 1850s, vallalar mentioned all these realms in his poems. None of these realms were defined by length, breadth, and height as in modern science. They were defined based on consciousness. If this dimensional theory based on consciousness is advanced, then length, breadth, and height are what spirituality calls Maya. Even quantum mechanics calls it wave function collapse, right? Meaning, it appears a certain way when we look at it, but quantum mechanics now says there are an infinite number of probabilities, and it could be anything. Because he realized this back then, Vallalar didn't use any physical entities for his dimensional mapping. He created this cosmic dimensional map using only consciousness. To put it simply, every object you see is because of your consciousness, because of your awareness. Since it appears before your eyes that way, how can we create dimensions based on something perceived through our awareness? The 11 dimensions they've calculated now are only described mathematically. They can't actually experience them. We can only access all of these dimensions through consciousness. This is an advanced science that no one else has told the world yet. Just wait and see. In the future, they will replace the current dimensional concept with Vallalar's consciousness-based one, because consciousness controls physical matter, and that's the modern trend. I'm saying Vallalar is the one who started this trend. Everyone, take a look at this consciousness dimensional map. See where it says Bhuta Valley? That's the space we inhabit, our 3D world made of the 5 elements. To understand what happens within this Bhuta Valley, watch the Hollywood movie The Truman Show. If you haven't seen it, at least listen to a review. It'll make this Bhuta Valley and the Matrix concept very clear. If we go beyond this Bhuta Valley, we find Paguthi Valley. You could call it subtle atomic space. You know how there's so much space inside atoms? What we call the energy field, our mental space, mental atoms, all of that is included in Paguthi Valley. Try to guess which Hollywood movie we can compare this Paguthi Valley to. I'll give you an example. We can compare it to the movie Ant-Man, because that atomic world, that entire quantum world, is what Valwal Peruman refers to as these Paguthi Valleys. There's even a scene where Ant-Man goes from Bhuta Valley into Paguthi Valley. Vallalar mentions in that song that these are all foundational spaces, and that there are many such spaces. He basically says, these are the base. He says that Vayangu Valley controls both of these spaces. all these subtle vibrational states exist within Vayangu Valley. I've talked about these quantum vibrations before. I'll put the link in the description. Go watch it and you'll understand it much better. So in Vayangu Valley, there are many different kinds of vibrations. The virtual particles created through them are the electrons and protons we see. So that vibrational field is what they call Vayangu Valley. If you've seen Doctor Strange, you'll know. The magical vibrations, different energy states, cosmic states, the Om mantra, all of these fall within Vayangu Valley. Next, he says there's Mamuna Valley. He's talking about this dimensional space. Mamuna, as you know, means absolute silence. We can equate this with the Shiva principle. He says only silence exists there. There's a Hollywood movie called Inception. In that movie, they show dreams within dreams, and they even show someone else controlling them, because all of this is happening within mental space. They even show a state called limbo, where they live in their consciousness in a quiet, silent place, forgetting the world. That's unrelated to Mamuna Valley because it's mental space. He says that when we cross that space, we reach Ubayavili. Ubayavili is simply the space between the transcendental space, Paravili, and the lower level spaces we just discussed. It's the space between the lower and upper levels. In this space, both transcendental matter and the lower level matter we've seen coexist. You could say they're mixed together. I haven't experienced it myself. I'm speaking from a place of logical inference. To understand this Vayangu Valley, think of the movie The Matrix. Remember that virtual world between reality and illusion? It has no fixed form, yet you can't say it's formless either. It's a world caught between the two, shown as an unreal simulation, right? That's what Vayangu Valley is. I'm using these movie examples just to help you grasp the concept. In actual experience, it might feel quite different. As we transcend that space and move higher, we can enter Paravelli. That is, our consciousness can enter the transcendental space. What's there? Only pure, infinite consciousness. A state of absolute awareness with no beginning and no end. We can call it Parasivam. That space is known as Paravelli. You're probably excited to hear which movie I'll link to this. Anyone on a spiritual path has likely seen it. It's Lucy. If you've watched it, you'll recall that as her brain capacity expands, meaning as her consciousness grows, her ego dissolves, time dissolves, and space dissolves. Eventually, her entire body transforms into space itself, becoming a vast void. We can equate this to Paravelli. In that dimension, we exist only as a space body. He referred to it as Anawuru Sir Paravelli, meaning it's incredibly dense. He describes it as being very compactly packed. Beings exist in this Sir Paravelli just as they do in all other spaces. In this dimension, they live, but they possess what we call a space body, a luminous space body, if you will. Paravelli is also a space body, but the one in Sir Paravelli is far more refined. It's even purer and more advanced. Whether it's the lower level spaces made of physical atoms or the Paravellis made of supreme atoms, Sir Paravelli sustains them all. The Shaktis and Sathars within it are the one driving and controlling all these lower realms. Sathars are consciousness beings and Shaktis are energy beings. They manage all the cycles occurring across these vast distances. Note that each level has its own corresponding Shaktis and Sathars. Hollywood has many films like Contact, The Tree of Life, Arrival, and Her, but I can't truly compare these spaces to any movie. Up to a point, we can find parallels, but beyond that, no film has ever depicted the profound dimensions described by Valwal Perumal. Vallalar mentions that if we go beyond this, there is the Tatparavelli. Salam Kupasami Aya provides an explanation for this. He says that Parasivam exists in a state of pure knowledge, beyond all illusions. He explains that God resides in this Tatparavelli, in that state of absolute awareness, absolute consciousness, and absolute intelligence. Now, if we go beyond this Tatparavelli, then right there is the Peruvali. Valal Peru man often spoke of the Peruvali in vallalar, didn't he? That Peruvali is at the 9th level. This Peruvali is the space that supports all the other spaces below it. How much more is there to travel? Buddha Valley, Pagati Valley, Mayanga Valley, Mamauna Valley, Ubaya Valley, Para Valley, Surpara Valley, Tapara Valley, Peruvali. Even after crossing all these spaces, there is a massive space called through Chitrambalam. It's only within that space that we can truly see God. Even though we exist within all these other spaces, we cannot see God's true nature. We might see His radiance, like a shadow or an illusion. We can only see His various forms. But if we want to see Him as He truly is, we can only do so within this Chitrambalam. Once we enter this Thiru Chitrambalam, that's it. Everything is pure space, with no obstructions. No one can stop us from seeing God. We can see His original form, feel it, experience that bliss, and merge with it. That place is Thiru Chitrambalam. Thiru means the divine, the sacred space. Chithu means consciousness, and Ambalam means space. It means the divine conscious space. So, is God inside the space? Is He confined within a space? Absolutely not. He has created all these spaces within Himself. If you look at this map, you'll see all these spaces are contained within the Arat Puranjyothi. His primary state is that Thiru Chitrambalam state, then Peruvali, then Tatparavelli, Sirparavelli, and so on. From his original state, he gradually descended to create this entire universe for us. But all of this is an illusion. Because even though we are in the Bhuta Valley right now, where are we really? We are within that ultimate grace, that ultimate compassion, at this very second. But these spaces surrounding us, you see, they are what prevent us from seeing God. Did He create these spaces just to hide from us? Certainly not. It's because of our ignorance, our own. It is because of that consciousness that those spaces seem to exist for us. When all this fades and we reach ultimate compassion like the divine, realizing everything is one without self-awareness, all these illusions will vanish and dissolve. We will merge with the vast grace light. The important thing here is that the vast grace light isn't a separate God or anything like that. It is not an individual being at all. It is absolute compassion, a complete mercy. It is a substance containing all wisdom, a divine substance. That is what it is. If we join with it, we too will turn into a divine substance. Om Tiruchitrambalam, Om Namah Shivaya Nama, Om Tiruchitrambalam, Om Namah Shivaya Nama, Om Tiruchitrambalam, Om Namah Shivaya Nama.